Manson Meekins of Avon recalls the boats that carried freight to Avon. Amy Glass interviewed Mr. Meekins in 1988 for the Southern Oral History program. The Outer Banks Community Foundation provided funds to digitize the original recording.
The produce, if we had any, was mostly grown, but the canned stuff and the salted things and the lumber all came by boat. Of course, this all during my time, up until about 1947, I guess. But we had 2 or 3 freight boats, sailboats, that ran from here to Elizabeth City and different places where they would go maybe once a week and pick up groceries, lumber, dresses for people, shoes, toothpaste, anything that they saw fit to bring from Elizabeth City would come in here. The boats that I remember was one of them was the Missouri, operated by Mr. Lauren O'Neill, the Julia Bell, which was operated by Mr. Walker Scarborough, and then later, as they changed to motor propelled, I remember the Jones, which was a motor boat, was operated by Mr. Lauren O'Neill, and at about the same time, there was larger sailing vessels, schooners, maybe 2 masters, that was operated by people in the oyster trade, maybe who would leave here in the fall during the oyster season and go over around maybe Stumpy Point or Mans Harbor or across the Sound, gathering oysters where they would take to Elizabeth City and sell. And my wife, Vera, her grandfather, Mr. Warren Davis O'Neill, he and his brothers operated one I remember called the Margaret Ann. There was another boat, a 2-mast, they call it a bug-eye, operated by Mr. George O'Neill and Mr. Lauren O'Neill. Mr. Fields Meekins, who had a store in the north end of the village, he had sailboats for many years. He ran freight and would take fish away to the market, salted fish, and bring back items for his store. And we didn't have a harbor until about 1947 here at Avon, and all these boats were anchored or moored to stakes along the shore outside of that's where they would tie them up. And many times during real severe storms, they would break their moorings and wash ashore. The Missouri, I mentioned, the sailboat, I remember her washing ashore during a storm, washed in down in Buxton. And I remember the bug-eye Duncan washing near the shore, right off breast of here almost, where she foundered and was destroyed. I remember the Margaret Ann going ashore up north of Avon. That was a 2-masted schooner. They eventually would get them off, but eventually the storms and stuff would contribute to their demise. A bug-eye was probably 100 feet, counting the bowsprit. Had a long, slanting cutter bow with a long bowsprit out. She'd slope down with a nice stern, and it's pretty hard to describe, but it was a real beautiful shaped sailing vessel. Well, I think probably there was a common design maybe up in the Chesapeake Bay where they have bug-eyes up there now, and they have sloops and different things. Before my time, there was boat builders. I understand there was a man, Mr. Farrah Scarborough, built boats. There was several boat builders, but it was just before my time. And of course there was a lot of boats that were built here, and just recently, that is, local boats. One of the people in Avon who's still living, Willie Austin, he built many smaller boats ranging up to maybe about 35, 40 feet. In fact, the boat that you see tied up to my dock right now over here on the side, this cabin boat, was built by Willie about 1963. But he built many boats. You see them all up and down the Outer Banks, and he built many small skiffs for municipalities like High Point, North Carolina, where they use them on lakes. He built a lot of boats. His his father, who was John Ben Austin, he probably built some boats, but Willie was a friend of mine when I was growing up, and I remember him building the first skiff when he was quite young on his own. So it was sort of something that came to him naturally, building boats.